On today's episode of Watch Jericho, we are here with my $2,000 7.3 Powerstroke diesel 1995 OBS Ford, and it's got a major problem. There's no lights. What is going on, guys? I am Watch Jericho, and today, like I said, I'm here with my cheap OBS Ford dump truck with the Powerstroke in it, and one of the major problems it has is there are no lights at all. There's no dash illumination, there's no turn signals, there's no headlights, the clearance lights don't turn on, no lights. So today, what we're gonna do is try to troubleshoot this thing and get it to light back up again, because obviously it's tough to drive a car with no lights. I don't even know if the brake lights work. I assume they do, but you know, they're kind of important to have. Now it's time to try to figure out why it has no lights. And honestly, the first thing I want to do is actually find out if it has brake lights. So will you run to the back? I'm gonna step on the brakes. Okay. Brakes are on.
No.
No lights?
No lights.
All right, I guess time for us to start figuring this thing out. And honestly, the ignition is on as well. So I moved this thing a few minutes ago, so it's not like we tried it without the ignition on. I know there will be comments. No brake lights and no lights. And then the worst thing about the lights is junk switches. All these old switches work horrible. This was the worst generation of dash equipment, I guess. All the new switches are so much better. They plug in simply, the whole module pops out. This was the worst of the worst as far as headlights go. And I know we dealt with it for like 40 years. It's unfortunate that it went on so long. So let's move this seat, throw a little bit of light in here, and see what's going on here. So we got a fuse panel right here. There we go. Turn signal check. No turn signals. You can see none of that works. Let's get the meter and start probing this thing out. At least this is actually says everything that's in here. So I think I'm just going to go through and check all of them. But the lights are, instrument is 10, and turn lamps is 7, courtesy dome is 8. Basically everything in here is lights. So 7, 8, 10, and possibly more. So let's go ahead and start checking this thing out. We'll use the door switch for ground, I think. Let's see if we can get a good, it's been painted over, of course, but I think we can get a good ground there. Start checking this out. So there we have 11.8 volts, 11.8 on the other side of the fuse, 11.8, 11.8, 11, good. This one doesn't seem good. We'll come back to that 20 with some pliers. It's definitely having problems. There's, that side's good. Let's try the other side of this fuse. 0, what's this one? So the 20 was in 4, and that's the one that has problems. Warning buzzer and lamps. And then the other one I'm dealing with is 8, and 8 is courtesy dome, cargo lamps, electric mirrors. Well, we don't have electric mirrors, but it does appear we have a blown fuse there. Got our fuse pullers. Obviously these old cars didn't have built-in fuse pullers like all the new ones do. The fuse looks to be intact. We'll own that out here in a second. Let's grab the next one. Oh, that one's trash for sure. You can even see a burn inside it. Is it the right fuse for the circuit? 4, oh wait, that's 8. 8 should have been a 15. And it is a 15, okay? Keep checking. What's next here? 11, 11, 0. What are you? 0 and 0. That's a fully dead circuit, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. Let's see what that one's supposed to be. That is instrument illumination, and it has no power on either side. Everything coming up green here. All right, all the other fuses seem good. And of course we'll ohm out, set the beep. Ohm out this 20. That was very interesting. This is the weirdest fuse ever. They didn't include a way to test this. The spades are too short. They don't stick through there, so there was no way for me to actually check it with the meter. Let's just move this 20 from circuit 4 over to 8 and see what happens. See if we just get a pop. Oh, we got lights back in the truck. It did say that was courtesy dome. Will you check the brakes one more time for me? Brakes?
No.
No brake lights.
No brake lights.
And trailer brake?
Trailer brake, yes.
We found an even bigger problem here. If I turn on the trailer brake, which you can see is glowing green right now, the trailer brake powers up the interior. And if I let off it, this is turning on a relay in the front of the vehicle. This makes no sense. The trailer brake belongs in the trash, I think. If we look up under the dash, you can see what I mean. I've seen some hacky stuff, but this one might take the cake. We've got random power wires right there, really bad connections, I'm sure, right there. More terrible things there. Oh, look at that. What if this is our problem? Well, that's terrible right there. Not a good sign. T-taps everywhere up under this dash. This is not looking good. So the relay sounded like it was coming from the driver front, and as soon as I opened the hood, I could feel the heat coming out of this fuse box. So I'd say something's wrong to start with. We knew that. Let's see. One of these relays. Go ahead, again, off. Keep going. It's this one, and this one's not hot at all. This one is on fire. I wonder what this one is. After just changing that one fuse, and we still have that 20 out of its socket, we've got headlights. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I can hear the relay.
Yep, they're both flashing on and off.
Wait, I can only sometimes hear the relay. There it is. Oh. It's not working now?
Now it's working.
Okay. Sometimes this relay is turning on, and when that relay clicks on, I can see the clearance lights turn on. What a mess. So we've done some troubleshooting. I pulled up a PDF of what this actually is, and we figured out that the first relay is the PCM. The second relay is the injection control or something on diesels, fuel pump on a gasser. The next relay is the horn, and the final relay we have in here is trailer tow lamps. And now I'm less upset about the way this is wired. It seems like they might have done that correctly. Trailer tow lamps also lights up all the lower brake lights on this truck. So the issue is when the brake's pressed, the trailer brake doesn't turn on. So if the trailer brake's going to turn on those lights, it needs to be connected to the brake and actually work in sequence as it should. Now, we also found out if I pull out the headlight switch over and over and over and wiggle it a lot, the lights flicker to life. We've been able to see all of the lights on this truck kind of come on, and I think everything but the brake lights. So maybe we need to troubleshoot at this point brake light switch and the headlight switch itself. And then why is brake light switch, I mean, if the brake light switch itself is bad, that would explain why the trailer brake's not working. So let's get to it. I do know that brake light switch has all kinds of hacky T-tap stuff all over it. We're gonna need to figure out where that connection's broke to the trailer brake, and it's probably broke to the rest of the truck as well. All right, let's try to get this plastic off here. Obviously, we're chasing the headlight switch down next. It seems like with this one, it wasn't staying in there, but now it is. If this is your OBS, it does not work like this because I think this is the wrong knob. And after pushing the knob in and getting the headlight switch to kind of work again, the lights sure don't stay on. We have found there's this little tiny Allen in here. Here's a 1.5, smallest thing we have here in the shop. Let's see if that, there we go. Okay, so this should let us get the knob off without pulling the entire shaft back out of the switch, which is funny because earlier it was just falling out of the switch over and over and over. So here we go. So I'm using this Allen wrench here to release the tabs on my fuel tank switch, which has been glued back in, and now I've lost my Allen wrench. Look at all that epoxy that was holding it on. What a mess. So we got into the dash. Now we need to pull out this switch that has been replaced, but apparently not replaced well. We've got our 8 set up here, and it's a 7. All right, we're back with our 7. How is that tight with the force of 1,000 men? Like what? What on earth? These don't need to be that tight. It's interior parts. Okay, here's our switch. O'Reilly's has this switch, so we'll go grab a new one. This one might even be damaged. It looks like it's broke. It's just made that way. All right, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It is the 9 terminal. You need to keep this bracket here for your switch. So you just unscrew that front nut and slide off the bracket that holds it in the dash. If you're doing this on your Super Duty, you should just pull on this bezel. I think there's one screw right there and one screw over here. Those screws go under the little trim caps. Drop this off. These are the trim caps. They just pop out. Underneath that are where the two screws are that hold the thing on. And that is it. That is the only thing that holds on the dash. Unfortunately on this one, it's held in by self-tapping screws. But, you know, it's an old work truck. A bunch of people have worked on it, and, you know, their only goal is to make it work again. All right, here with our switch. Let's see if they got it in the store. Off to the next store. There's one that's like 5 minutes away, so we're gonna go there instead of ordering the part. Just easier. Boom. We've got our 9-position switch and lifetime warranty on it. It's the DS268. Let's get back to the shop. So your dash may be correct. Mine is absolutely not. Like I said, a bunch of people have worked on this that probably shouldn't have been. But we got the knob off with the Allen wrench, although that's the wrong knob for this truck. It's supposed to be a nice big black plastic one. O'Reilly sells a drop-in replacement for that, but it's actually hard to take off and it's probably not gonna fit with the broken dash bezel. So we're keeping the chrome. To get the rod out of here, there's a release button here, and I found that if you just hit the release button, hold it down and wiggle a lot, it took a lot of wiggling, but you can get this thing out of there. So here we are with our new switch. And we'll put the new rod in, or the same old rod. And it immediately locked in positively, way better than the old switch. And let's go ahead and put our connector on here, our 9-pin connector.
Yeah, it's just flickering. Now they're all on.
The headlight switch is powering up the interior. That is weird. Let's see if the reverse lights work. I'm gonna put it in reverse real quick.
Okay.
Reverse?
No.
So we've got one little drop of Loctite on our nut that slides into the assembly here, and we'll line this up with our tab about right there. This thing actually kind of aligns it. There it goes. Get it started. And it's a, what is that, 16? 16 will let you tighten that nut down. This install is gonna be way better. We've got all of our wires back in. The rheostat, this is the dimmer for the dash lights. Seems like that's gonna work better and it runs better than the old switch. So this should be a big upgrade. Got the bracket back in. These don't need to be really tight or anything, just snug, so. 2 clicks, it's on the lightest setting. Boom. It's still flaky, but if I put the switch in the middle, all the running lights work. And if I pull it all the way out, just the headlights work, right? Let's see. Yep, we've got headlights. And then I'll go ahead and push it back in just a little bit. Right there, everything turns on. Wait. Oh yeah, all the lights turn on. But the headlights turn off. Well, now we've got our headlight switch replaced. Let's hop in here and test out our brake switch. So we've got the meter on beep, so it's hard to see what we're working on. And I'm gonna test across the brake switch here. And nothing right now, as we would expect. And now, we know the brake switch works. That's good news. So what is going on with the rest of this thing? This is just some of the wiring to the trailer brake, which is just kind of pure insanity. So let's keep working. We are finding problem after problem with this trailer brake install. It looks like when one of these mechanics put the battery in, he just ripped off the ground. This is the ground of the trailer brake. White should be ground, black is battery positive, and red is the output to the trailers. Now, what's going on is instead, this thing is being powered by the brake light switch, which it shouldn't be. It makes no sense at all. And yeah, it's drawing power from there instead of having red go to the brake light switch, which is where it should go. There's only 4 wires on a trailer brake controller. So black, battery pause, white, battery ground, and then red to the trailer. Wait, the big giant red wire to the trailer. I think that's technically blue coming out of the brake. And then the red one on the trailer brake is the one that goes to the stop lamp switch. That's not what's going on here. So we are getting the trailer brake backfed through the stop lamp switch. So we got to get that sorted out right now. And I think that starts with the fact the trailer brake has no ground. It's grounding through I don't know what, honestly. and I don't know if it has power. This is the black wire going into the cabin. It runs through this fuse right here, which runs through another fuse on the side of this thing, it looks like. So let's see what we've got. And we do have 12 volts. We do have battery power. All right, and that is on the supply to the trailer brake side. So of course we have it over here. There we go, 12 volts. So we have 12 volts into the thing. Let's hook up the ground wire and see what kind of change that makes. And we'll just keep right on going. So as you can see, the terminal is just yoinked off of there. Oh, there it is. The terminal got pulled off while he was installing the battery, of course. So there's like an 8. I'm gonna pull that nut off. We're gonna put a new terminal on there. And honestly, this doesn't need to be grounded at the battery. This should be grounded at the frame or something like that. I mean, there's grounds everywhere that could have been picked up that are better than the battery. Because then when somebody changes the battery, they're gonna do the same thing. So let me get this all cleaned up. You guys already know we're doing it right. Using nice ring terminals, heat shrink on them and all that good stuff. Okay, there's our connection. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this ground from the chassis there, connect it, and let's see what happens. We'll head back inside to take a look at it. All right, we got that thing back together. Sure we don't touch anything to the positive side of the battery here. All right, I think we've got a nice ground for the trailer brake now. And I know we've got power into the cabin, so let's go in there and give the old trailer brake a squeeze and see what happens out back.
Oh.
Lights.
Yep. Yep.
I'm in here trying to figure out what is going on with the turn signals when we've got all the lights working now. And you know how we fixed the lights? We put the right fuses in and disconnected the power to the trailer brake. All it took was unhooking the trailer brake power. And suddenly, there was no circuit feeding back into this thing. That's what's going on. The trailer brake's basically just making a connection from positive to the output to the lights, and it was back feeding everything. So it didn't even have a ground, but it was still closing that circuit and everything was working. So we got that fixed. We have lights now. So that was a huge improvement. And then I was like, let's look at this, see if we can figure out what's going on with the wipers work, but the turn signals don't and the hazards don't. So all the wires, of course, come down the column, and then I found 2 cute little wires, just little tiny, like 22 gauge wires, one of the smallest gauges, and then they were wrapped in electrical tape and headed over here by the radio. And I looked inside and thought, huh, that's a funny looking MP3 player or something like that. It's got a USB port on it. Turns out, our funny looking MP3 player in here is this, a Sky Patrol TT8750 Plus. This side towards the sky. Clearly GPS tracking. And it's even on. You can see it's powered up. This thing's been in here killing the battery the whole time. So we're gonna go ahead and pull out those little wires that are T-tapped onto some wires in the column and keep right on troubleshooting, making the car more lightweight as we go, I guess. A little weight reduction. There, we got the GPS out of there, TT8750 Plus, and it's got an external antenna connection. Here's the connection for anything you want, although all they had hooked up was, I'm gonna guess, power, ignition, and ground. I don't know for sure, but you know, the fused one makes sense for power, typically. And then it's got a little USB mini, so you can program it, and it looks like it might have an internal battery too. GSM, GPS, and power. All right, well that's out of there, so I guess we're doing some good. Turn lamps and rear window defrost is fuse 7, and 7 is, should be, this one. This is a nice fuse. This is a, I don't know what the amperage is on this fuse, but I would guess like 100. Probably 100 amp fuse. So, shove this thing in here, and I think it's just missing a bunch of fuses. Turn signals, bro. Will you go see if I bet they work. Are they flashing?
Flashing.
Other side?
Flashing.
Hazards?
Nothing.
No hazards. Okay, so we still have issues. Stop hazard lamps is 13, and I do think 13 is actually installed. Yep, we do have 13. I kind of wonder, we've got a hazard switch down here. It really made me wonder if that's the hazards, but... Oh, we got it! We got it! We've got instrument cluster illumination. We've got turn signals. We have everything working now except for the hazards because the hazard flasher is completely gone. I got back there, the hazards, so we've got the turn signal flasher right here. It's the round one in the fuse box. The hazard flasher goes on the opposite side, right behind it. Socket is completely melted and gone. So I'm gonna say this will not have hazards, but it does have, luckily, if somebody wanted to make it work, that button. And it feeds a bunch of auxiliaries that are under the hood. You could definitely make hazards work if you fed a wire back or two. So we have fixed everything on this truck, I think. We've got all the turns, all the clearance lights. All we have to do now is put the dash back together, and I don't think we have a radio still, but I think the radio is just completely broken. Nothing, no radio. So the radio seems dead. I might try a couple more things on there. I mean, obviously it turns on with the ignition, so we have switched ignition, and I would assume with switched ignition we'd have to have battery, so there can't be anything else wrong with that radio. The climate works, I know that. We pretty much got the whole interior going again. The only thing it doesn't have is a trailer brake, and whatever's going on with that trailer brake is a bad deal. I also tried hooking it all up correctly at running the brake lamp switch over to the red wire on it, and obviously we have power and ground hooked up properly now. Still, no go from the old trailer brake controller. It may have just shorted out internally. Could be what's wrong with the whole thing there. So no more trailer brake, and we have fixed the truck. This was fun, and we've got a nice switch. The old switch was toast, and we didn't even have gauge illumination before, and the speedometer wasn't working. We found all those problems. The fuse to the speedometer had blown. This thing must have backfed it and just wiped out the whole thing at once. Should be good now. So we went ahead and got all the lights working in the cluster. Had to swap around some of the 194s. That's all good now. Obviously we've got the speedo and everything working too. So big improvements under the dash. Put the cluster back in here. That's all you have to do to get in and out on this. It's pretty simple. And now we're ready to hook everything back up. So a couple more minutes and we should be good to go. All right, step on the brake for me. Third brake light even flashed on there. Let's see, go ahead and do it one more time. Yes, everything's there. That was trying to sort out all the lighting on my F-250 dump truck. I'm pretty happy about the fact that it works now, and I'd love to take it for a drive, but we'd have to move the other diesel, and that's just a whole thing, especially in the winter. So I think that's it for today. I mean, you got to see, we got it all sorted out. Even the clearance lights, every clearance light worked. So pretty happy about that. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjrgo.com for cool shirts just like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. We got that little diagnostic display hooked up. Of course, the little black sheet that has all the little printing on it, that those illuminate, it's missing, unfortunately. Basically everything in here. I mean, gauges, speedo, awesome. So that was a whole lot of troubleshooting. We found out the Hobbs meter's not hooked up. I always wondered. There's no power to that. The glow plug switch is a 3-position switch, but of course only one is hooked up again, so wrong switch for that. I guess they wanted a momentary and they couldn't figure out how to do that with a one-way, or they just used what they had. What we're down to now is radio doesn't work and the climate control doesn't seem to light up, but I bet the bulbs are burnt out in it. There's a lot of progress in one day. Good old F-250's ready to go do some service. Now if it just had interior door handles.